Welcome back, our dear viewers. Joining us, our guest this evening now, Mr. Qutaiba Alhomoud, Managing Partner at Milestone Consultancy. Mr. Qutaiba, good evening. It's a real pleasure to have you tonight with us on Hala Kuwait.
Thank you, Mohammed. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Mr. Qutaiba, and all the people thinking about entrepreneurship and business and this high enthusiasm we witness from the new generation. Also, a lot of pioneers when it comes to entrepreneur. They are really spreading passion, enthusiasm for the newcomers or the new graduates from different fields. So we're really wondering about a small, or your definition for small and medium businesses in Kuwait.
Excellent. Good. It's always good to start the conversation with the definition. So there are general criteria around the world for what a small business is, what a medium business is. But in our case, let's go with the Kuwaiti Law 98 in 2013, which is for the Kuwaiti National Fund for small business and small and medium enterprises, which basically states that a small enterprise is any company with a capital up to 250,000 KD. Medium enterprises, however, is up to 500,000 KD. 501,000 KD is considered a large enterprise. It's out of that scope.
Big difference.
Yeah, and just to give a bit more clarity, when I talk about capital, it's the money invested by the owners in the company. So excluding the debt and anything else that financed the company, it's just the money that the owners put in. So if it's under 250,000, it's a small business, which is a surprise to a lot of people, because the main conception in Kuwait is if you say, oh, he has a small business, you're generally referring to a small shop, an e-commerce store, something on the side, where it could be a considerably quite viable business, with employees and a whole operation, and still considered a small business under this definition.
Well, that's great. And also, some people they're wondering, Mr. Qutaiba, maybe they believe that small businesses have a specific income and medium businesses has a specific income. So let's be clear about small and medium businesses, or SMEs. How is it important for economic growth? No one can underestimate small businesses, and no one also can underestimate medium businesses. So tell us more, please.
Okay. Look, now, if we're going to talk economic theory, and I'm not going to talk, I'm speaking in general terms, small businesses and medium enterprises are the backbone of any economy. That's the general aspect of the matter. Because what happens is small businesses can be easily generated. They create jobs for the people in the economy, and there is trades of goods and services, and the funds there is circulated inside the economy itself. So it's a vital point in any economic environment, especially that adheres to capitalistic ideals. Unfortunately, and I'm not talking about in Kuwait, I'm talking generally in the GCC, we are oil-dependent countries. But we are seeing this emergence in small businesses and entrepreneurship, like you mentioned earlier in the interview, which I think is very healthy. And we need to make that shift away from depending solely on oil and go into other industries and other factors and give more back to the community.
Well, that's great that you mentioned how business is going on in our lovely country Kuwait, and this great growth of businesses in our lovely country Kuwait, and how people, entrepreneurs are getting excited. But let's talk, please, about the international business language when it comes to small businesses. How can it help to create jobs? Well,
there's a couple of ways. First of all, it alleviates the pressure off of the public and private sector, because, for example, let's talk about in Kuwait. In Kuwait, the government gives the citizens, I don't know what's called, like let's call it an allowance, or some sort of support, labor support, if they work in the private sector. Now, you as an aspiring entrepreneur can open your own company with the goods and services that you wish, and register yourself as an employee in that company. Therefore, getting at least a baseline of salary support from the government. And then, later on, hopefully when this business grows, you will employ more into your company and create more jobs. You need somebody to handle your marketing, you need somebody to handle your finances, you need somebody to handle recruitment. These are all jobs that you cannot do all by yourself, so you're going to need to hire more. Now, the discrepancy I see only يعني, when it comes to Kuwait specifically is people don't usually get excited about joining a small or medium enterprise as a labor force. And then they would rather work in either a big corporation or a big company, or work for the government sector, which also is very viable.
Yeah, mostly they join telecommunication companies or banks, the most.
Exactly. That's why you see here in Kuwait we have a lot of dependency on expats, which is obviously also very healthy for the economy, but where the underlying issue is most expats in Kuwait, they take their income outside to their country, to their loved ones, to the people that they're supporting, which they should. But that leaves less money to circulate inside the economy, which kind of creates a dilemma. And you want, the reason you want the small businesses to have the capital circulate inside the economy itself. So I think I'm hoping in the future you can see young people and the youth, either whether they're in high school or freshly graduate, to go and expose themselves to working at these small enterprises or medium enterprises, gain a lot of experience that way, and keep the whole thing circulating inside the Kuwaiti economy.
Exactly, and that's what we want to talk about now. You're leading us to talk about the diversifying Kuwait's economy to go beyond oil.
Yes.
Is it possible?
Absolutely, absolutely, it's possible, and I think so. It's and it's not too late now to do so, but you're going to need the right infrastructure. For example, the leading industry in Kuwait is the oil industry, is the oil sector. But there are other industries in Kuwait. We do make concrete, we do make steel, we do make, you have, I don't know if it's okay to name names, but for example, you have a company like KDD, which is one of the best companies, a very strong brand, and it's Kuwaiti made. Kuwait Mills, also the same thing. So there are other industries other than that, but I think there's a lot of room for other industries. Kuwait, as we all know, it's an import country. We import, I would say, maybe 90% of consumer goods that we make, or that we consume. However, there are very small things that we really don't need to import. For example, small stationery or nails or construction tools or things that we import in bulk from outside, we can produce and export to the GCC. There's room for that. And you can see even in today's environment, if you look at neighboring countries in the GCC, they're also going full speed ahead when it comes to factories and industry. I think, if I'm not mistaken, please fact check me on this, I think the UAE or Qatar just announced their an electric vehicle company they're going to produce their own vehicles. So that's a great move forward, and we can do that too.
Definitely, and we're really proud of our Kuwaiti products, and everyone's proud about it. And thank you for clearing up this information and proving that we can diversify the Kuwaiti economy beyond oil. So now let's talk about small and medium businesses and what's so challenging to that, or the biggest challenges to the small and medium businesses in Kuwait today.
The biggest challenge that entrepreneurs face in Kuwait today, and let me go drill down and talk about somebody who wants to create something for himself. Maybe he lacks resources, doesn't have enough capital, doesn't have enough connections or experience, but he wants to create another source of income. The main challenge they're facing is the infrastructure is not there. Or at least it's not strong enough to support them, because the Kuwaiti government has done fantastic strides and took excellent initiatives in supporting small businesses. However, maybe the implementation wasn't the best. Like we have the I apologize because I don't really remember the translation, but there is the company that supported the small businesses that used to finance small businesses, like the Kuwait National Fund.
Exactly.
But that was before.
For financing.
Yeah, for financing it. But that model broke down. Then the Kuwait National Fund happened, which had a overall budget of 2 billion Kuwaiti dinars to support small businesses. But now that has stopped and came to a halt for various reasons. Then you have the private sector is also, there is no coordination between the private sector and the government sector. The private sector in this central bank regulations must have a separate, let's say, budget to fund SMEs.
This is what's happening.
This is what's happening currently. However, there is not enough, let's say, push from the government to force them to do so. So you see banks putting very difficult barriers to entry for a small business to get a funding. And in part they're not to blame, because at the end of the day they're a private company and small businesses are very risky. There's no, so they don't have a way to mitigate that risk. But here's a fun thing that I've recently found out. I was in a visit to Cairo a couple of months back, and I had the chance to have a chat with a fellow banker, and he told me in Egypt it is by law banks are forced to support small businesses and fund them. But the way we went around the whole risk thing is we allied ourselves with insurance companies. So if, let's say, you wanted to open a business and you wanted 100,000 KD or 50,000 KD to begin your project, you would have to first go to an insurance company and insure your loan for an amount. It might not be, they're cheap, it might be like 2,000 to 3,000 KD, according to whatever amount you're going to get. But that basically ensures the bank that if you default on this loan, the insurance company is going to pay me the money.
Oh, that's the point of it.
Yeah, so the banks are more than willing to support small businesses. But here in Kuwait, the risk is very high for them. So they would put like measures in terms, you have to put up collateral, you have to have a couple of years where you're making a lot of money. This can't be a new idea that you're coming up with. They have to see a long historical track record. So it's a bit difficult. But I think there is much work to be done, but at least the spirit is there. I believe the intention of helping the small businesses is there, which is at least a good start.
That's great. So can we talk or can we mention in conclusion, it's not something easy, or it's not an easy process to get finance from the bank?
No, it's not an easy process at all. And in terms of, just to state another challenges, I mean, even in terms of regulation itself and the bureaucracy and the things you have to do, again, the government has created a lot of great strides with now most of the things you can do online. You can do online. So there's a lot of tools to help, and a lot of them are not advertised well, but they're there. Now, the issue I have is there needs to be a different set of rules that the SMEs play in. I mean, you can't have the SMEs and the large companies all competing together on the same field. Okay, if you're, for example, if you have like two sport teams and you have like the junior kids team and then you have the national team, there are different rules. There are different rules of engagement. It's a different football pitch. There's different things applies. So I think there needs to be some sort of handicaps given to small businesses to push them through the beginning. Easier way to recruit, maybe some tax breaks when it comes to importing, and I think that's actually there. I think small businesses do get some tax exemptions when they import businesses, but like these types of
well, it's well said from your behalf, Mr.
Thank you.
Qutaiba. And it's really, to be honest, it's encouraging for entrepreneurs also to have awareness to think about financing and follow the right steps if they want to start small and medium businesses. We'll have more subject to talk about that subject more, but dear viewers, we will have a report, then we'll be back with our guest tonight. Stay with us. We are back, dear viewers, with our guest this evening, Mr. Qutaiba Alhomoud, Managing Partner at Milestone Consultancy. Welcome back, Mr. Qutaiba. Such an exciting subject we're talking about. It comes to business and entrepreneurship. So what kind of support does the government provide for entrepreneurs and people who are starting or willing to start small and medium businesses?
Like we mentioned before the break, the government has made a lot of good strides in terms of supporting the private sector and private enterprise. Most of the things are digitalized now. You can download applications like Sahel Business and do a lot of things on there. There is a center for small businesses where you can go and get most of the paperwork done. So there's that kind of support. Now, there used to be the Kuwait National Fund used to have a good effort in funding small businesses in terms of loans with very attractive payment methods. That has stopped now for various reasons. Hopefully, I'm hearing news that it's going to open up its doors again for new applicants. But I think the biggest issue that needs to be tackled, like you mentioned, is awareness. Awareness needs to be at the forefront because not a lot of people are aware of the resources that they can utilize. And even when you start the funding, a lot of the biggest reasons why projects like the Kuwait National Fund and the Kuwait Small Business Fund before that, company before that, the reason why they kind of didn't work is because the people would apply for a project. Somebody would have a project and it's a nice idea and he made the study and he provided all the paperwork, he created the funding, he started the business, but he lacks the fundamental management know-how and financial acumen to run the business. And eventually that business would fail, he would be stuck with a loan, and it kind of cycles. Then the benefits, then
they will struggle.
The negatives outweigh the positives at that point. So I also think, even in that term, if there could be a cooperation between both the private and the public sector to educate these entrepreneurs, put them through a course, let them get a certificate. Excellent. First. It's okay, we will fund you, okay? But this is what you need to know before. And you know what? After that, you need to go and hire one of the accounting firms to just do your accountings. We need to see the numbers. Make sure everything is ready. Have like some accountant or some consultant just to handhold this entrepreneur, at least in the beginning, until he gets the hang of things. And this way, it will, I think, in theory, it would highly boost the effectiveness of these programs.
Exactly. And does the regulatory environment, does it help or hinder SMEs? I wouldn't go so far as to say hinder, but I think room for improvement is there. For example, there is a great legislation that was been brought by the Ministry of Commerce, where a small business could have 5 different business licenses in one address. So, for example, right at the current state, if I were to open up a company, even if I don't need a physical location, I have to get an office. That's great.
And if I want to open a second company, I have to get another office and another. Sometimes they might be complementary services that I'm making. So having a legislation like this is great. But unfortunately, for some reason, from what I've heard recently, is that hasn't passed through or hasn't been activated yet. I think there's some issues with bureaucracy, you know how it is. But hopefully if that happens, that would be great. Other things that would help small businesses and SMEs get manpower easily. Increase, for example, because when you're a small business, you scale a lot faster than large companies. Large companies find, okay, year-on-year growth if they're lucky, but small businesses scale exponentially. So month on month they might need to hire new staff, and from what I've experienced personally and from what I've seen from others, it's very difficult to get those approvals and things done. So I think like the regulatory environment could be easier and more lenient and flexible with SMEs, just at least in the beginning stage. Once they reach, according to the definition, above 500,000 capital and go into a large cap company, then no, it's stricter rules needs to be enforced.
Maybe me and our dear viewers, I believe we agree that we are sensing it, but not in a direct way. I mean the small businesses and the digital transformation. So how did digital transformation change small businesses? Can you explain it to us, please?
Yeah, digital transformation, I think, revolutionized small businesses. It's the main reason why today you see new businesses pop up every week. It's because tools that were previously only accessible to large companies because they were very expensive, there are alternatives and substitutes that are much more affordable. For example, you have a company like Oracle, who works with governments and large companies. There's a kind of information and reporting service. If you go to a small business, and one license, one user is in the thousands. But if you go to a small business, there are substitutes like Xero, QuickBooks, Zoho, where it's $30 per user. And it's very affordable, and it does the same function. Social media, of course, is also a part of digital transformation. E-commerce has become much easier. Right now, I worked with my sister as personally to open up an online store. So great. There's this company called Shopify, and I opened an online store within 1 hour by myself. And I have no technological background. I'm not like the most computer savvy person. So of course, these tools drastically help small businesses into gaining control of over their own performance.
Yeah, that's why like us as consumers, especially the viewers watching us, most of them this evening, we're consumers and we feel the digital transformation, but not in the way, well said from your behalf, and the way you defined it. So we're wondering now also about something that happened, and everyone noticed a rapid growth when it comes to small businesses and the need of small businesses and medium businesses. We're talking about the lessons we have learned from COVID-19.
Yeah, COVID-19 had a very drastic and dramatic effect on small businesses, and that is mainly because me personally, there's a lot of factors to it, but me personally, I attribute it to poor cash flow management. At the end of the day, if you're in a situation where everything is closed down, you still have to pay rent, you still have to pay your employees, you still have to pay your suppliers, you have your obligations, you have to pay the banks if you have any loans, and there's no sales coming in, if any, obviously it's going to eat into the company's cash, it's going to eat into your own personal accounts maybe, and you're going to have to close down. But this is, a lot of lessons that I think the main lesson that should be taken from that period is to manage cash properly, have savings, have emergency funds in case things happen. Not only this, like you even notice on a yearly cycle when it comes to the summer vacation. We're talking June, July, August mainly. Even stretching into September, sales plummet. I look at data and sales don't do so well in this period because people travel, a lot of people are busy, they go out, they go shop, they have more free time than usual, so you don't find that much sales. But as soon as things go back to normal, so even in that period, you as a company might have a loss during that period, so you'd have to have some sort of funding. Yeah.
Well, we're really thankful to you for the valuable information you shared with us this evening.
It's my pleasure.
The pleasure is ours, Mr. Qutaiba, and we wish you the best of luck with your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I
appreciate that. Thank you.
It's a real pleasure. The viewers, we just had with us Mr. Qutaiba Alhomoud, managing partner at Milestone Consultancy. Let's go now and share with you our next report. Then we'll be back. Stay with us.